Hello everybody, how are you doing today? Well, I hope. This is Web Jenny, and today I'm going to give two little short ghost stories. The first one happened a few years back. There was a rule at the house, an unspoken rule, but it was there, where people were not really allowed to socialize during working hours. That means, other than good morning, how are you? I'm fine. That's it. You would get to work for the rest of the day. Everything that was discussed had to do with business at the museum. There was no chit-chatting. So how was your weekend? So what's new? What's happening? No. It is a museum with very small staff, and everybody had a lot of work to do, and there was no time for chatting. That's the way it was. Nobody would say anything, but that was the rule. And what people do, including me, if the bosses were, busy, and you were on another floor, and you saw, a colleague of yours, hey, how are you? How you doing? What's going on? And you chit-chat for a couple of minutes. Nothing wrong with that, but no, it was not liked very much at the museum. And we all did it. But the minute, we saw one of the bosses, back to, business, back to work. We all accepted it. That's the way it was there. And one day, on the third floor, and Catherine was there that day. And happened to be an employee's, bathroom, and I walked out and I saw her. So I said, hey, how are you? And we started chatting. Now I had left the bathroom door, open, and we're chatting, and all of a sudden the light in the bathroom goes off and on. And we both noticed it, especially on the accountant, because she was facing the bathroom door. And I remember saying to her, well, we know who that is. She says, oh, yes. And I said to her, I guess she's telling us it's time to go back to work. She goes, you're right. So, I turn around and I go back to the bathroom and I turned off the light. The thing with that bathroom, it wasn't a switch on, switch off type of light. It was an old-fashioned light. It had a chain, and you had to pull on the chain either to turn it on or to turn it off. And it's been there for years, the same light fixture. When the new Gunners and guys would come over, or not the Gunners and guy, the exterminator, usually he was young, he would say, how do you turn this light? Where do you turn the light? And I said, you have to pull on the chain. And they'd be like, oh, okay. They're very surprised. So, you had to pull on the chain. And for that to happen when we were talking, it was, Gertrude saying, okay, enough to chat. You know the rules. Get back to work. So that's story number one. Story number two. A few paranormal shows have come to the house you know, to do their show, to investigate and do their show. And the very last one, of course, I had to, you know, babysit them. You know, everybody be gone. They would work late hours. And somebody had to be at the house. Because when crews are shooting, they tend to forget that it's a museum. And they'll put things on the antique table, on the antique sofa. They'll bring drinks in, you know, while they're shooting. And the director would tell, you know, them the rules, explain the rules to them, and they will accept the rules. But when you're shooting, you're working long hours, you forget. So she always wanted somebody around, walking around, watching them. And one time, I always mispronounce the name. The program, the Holzer Files, again, I could be mispronouncing their name, came to do a story at the museum. A wonderful crew. Excellent, the director, the producers, very nice, very friendly. With, you know, people, you know, the producers would come after me and say, when it was lunchtime for them, they would come, and he would come and get me to go and have lunch with them. And I would say, no, thank you, but I don't have to join you. I'm not part of the crew. And he would say, yes, you are. You are part of the crew. So come have lunch. And every time they were eating, went on a break, he made sure that I was there with them. So I'm like, okay. They were very nice. One week they were shooting there. And on the very last day, I had to stay there very late, till 1 o'clock in the morning. It was their last shoot for the night. And one of my colleagues decided to stay. She had the first shift, I had the last shift. And she said, you know, I'll stick around. I said, are you sure? She said, I live 2 blocks from here. Okay, fine. So, but the main thing with the crew, when they were shooting, we were not allowed to walk around. We had to find a spot and sit, because any little noise that we would make, it'd be captured on screen. Happened several times with different people at the museum, and they would come to me and say, listen, this is what, you know, we hear them, you know, we hear them talking, we hear them walking, tell them they have to stop. And I would have to tell them. And that night, you know, they were shooting on the first floor. So we decided, me and my colleague, to hang out in the modern kitchen. And that's where we stayed most of the time when they were shooting. At one point, they had interviewed one of the members of the board, Anthony, and he had asked them, after his interview was over, can we get out of the kitchen and, you know, and walk around? Because he knew we'd been there for a while. It's a very small kitchen. And they said yes, because they were not shooting anything at that point. They were just discussing things, discussing scenes. Okay, so me and my colleague, we took off, and I said to her, let's do our own ghost investigation. She was like, okay. So we decided to go up to the 4th floor, the servants' quarters, because they were not filming there at all. So, and at the museum, half the lights were off. If they were not filming in that particular area, the lights were off. So me and my colleague were going upstairs. We're on the 3rd floor, which is pitch black. And it's funny, on the way up, we saw one of the producers, and I said to him, we're going upstairs to do our own investigation. And he looked at me, he said, well, okay, have fun. And he kept working, talking to his other producer. And we're on the 3rd floor. It's pitch black. Now, I wanted to go upstairs all the way in darkness to see if anything would happen. But my colleague was like, no, I don't think so. And I was like, really? She goes, no, please turn the steps lights on. Then I'll go upstairs with you. I said, okay. I said, but I'm leaving the lights off on the 4th floor. Which is fine. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted it to be all pitch black. But she was nervous. So I get it. So we climbed up the steps to the 4th floor, servants' quarters. It's pitch black on that floor. And I said, let's go to the servant's bedroom. And she agreed. I had my little light on, on my camera. So she felt okay. And I went into the servants' quarters and I started asking questions. And of course, nothing happened. So I was kind of, disappointed. And maybe none of the spirits were up there. Because all the action was downstairs. So I asked another question. The question was, is anybody here in the room with us? Now, I was in the room, but my colleague was standing in the doorway. She did not want to come into the room at all. Which is fine. So I asked a question. And we heard 3 knocks. 1, 2, 3. I got excited. Did you hear that? She goes, yes, I did. Where did that come from? She says, from next to me. So they're probably standing in the hallway next to her, which I'm sure did not make her very happy. Oh, I was so excited. Oh, because we heard those knocks loud and clear, and she was with me. And we were all alone on the 4th floor. And all the crew, they were all downstairs on the 1st floor in the parlors. And we knew that. So I asked again, who knocked? Who knocked? Who knocked? Please do it again. Nothing. I asked another question, again regarding knocking. No answer. So I said, okay, that's it. I said, we can go back down. I mean, we heard what we heard. I was happy. She was kind of, she found that interesting. And I think she was ready to go back downstairs. So we went back downstairs. I told the producer who was standing next to the medium at that time. And I said, this is what happened to us. And she's like, the medium. Now, at the time, I have not seen the show. I never heard of the show. I didn't know who she was, who this medium was. And she says, well, for one experience in this house, I'm not surprised. And then, me and my colleague went back down to the basement. So that was our little ghost adventure at the museum while the paranormal show was shooting their scenes. And those are my 2 little short stories for today. Have a wonderful day, and see you all next time. Bye.